Uh-oh. All right, we are live, everybody. So, welcome to the weekly A Place at Home LinkedIn Live. And today we're going to talk about building a culture. And I'm here today with a few people, our normal business performance coach, Aubrey Phillips.
Oh,
Aubrey,
hi, hi.
welcome to the A Place at Home show. Is this a show yet? Probably not. We also
So,
have Rick Perkins, owner of A Place at Home Omaha and Papillion, and his lovely wife, Kris Perkins, also owner of A Place at Home Omaha and Papillion. Thanks for joining us, Rick and Kris. How are you guys?
Good.
Good.
Awesome. Awesome. So today's topic is building a culture, and we invited Rick and Kris because they, bar none, have one of the best cultures in the place at home system. Aubrey actually used to work for them, and she'll be able to talk about that culture in the future. How long did you work for them, Aubrey? About a year.
Yeah, about there.
About a year. So she got to experience, and right before we went live, she said they were the best bosses that she's ever had.
The
Right,
best year of my life,
like
hands
right in front of me, her current. So that's great. That's awesome. So really started off this live going strong. Well, I want to give a little bit of background here. So you guys are the place. You own Papillion. You bought Papillion 3 years ago. After about a year of running that, you did Jared and I a solid and said, "Hey, we'll manage Omaha for us so that we can continue to build the franchise." You loved it so much, you said, "Hey, Dustin and Jared, we want to buy it from you," in which then you bought it from us. And then now you've run that for 2 years. You grew it by about another, I can't remember what we were at. I think we're at like 2.2 or 2.3. You've grown it to about $3 million in the last 2 years. You have active employees of 60 caregivers. Your active clients, active clients is about what, 55, 50, roughly?
Right around there, yep. Just
All
over
right.
50.
Your employee satisfaction's always over 90%. Your customer satisfaction has been over 90% consistently as well. You've won multiple Best of Home Care awards. You won the city's Best of Omaha award, first place in the home care industry in the city of Omaha, which is the home of A Place at Home, Homestead, Right at Home, big corporations. You guys were able to win that award 2 out of the last 3 years. And I believe we haven't, have you found out about this year yet?
Not yet.
No, not,
You're in the
should
running
be
this
new.
year. So you guys have all these accolades that have piled up in your first 3 years. I want to go back to the very beginning on what got you into A Place at Home, because I think people want to see Rick and Kris and what got you into Place at Home and what characteristics did you bring to the table to have such good success. So let's start with Rick real quick, since you're to the left, and we'll work my way to the right, which is Kris to the right. What got you guys into home care?
Well, we always talk about the big move that we made when we met our grandson, Elliot. Our daughter, Shelby, had him and met him and immediately fell in love. So, about that time, we were looking for industries and different businesses that we could buy, and through a lot of research, we kind of stumbled upon home care, and it spoke to us on a real personal level. The whole idea of home care. So Kris and I, we've both had professional jobs throughout our lives where we were in a position to make strong personal connections and make a difference in people's lives. So for me personally, that's what really appealed on a gut level was being in control of something, that you are there in it with your client, actually making a difference in their day-to-day quality of living. So that was very important to me.
That's awesome. And Kris, how about you? I know well, before I get into that, the one piece of advice that I've ever heard Kris say, there's a phrase that you said, that what it takes to be a good home care owner. And I've been doing this for 10 years and I never thought about it, but you have coined the phrase for us here that you need to have a servant's heart to do this business. And I think that's what you look for in all your employees as well. And we'll get into that later. But that was something that's really hit home with me over the last couple of years that I've known you. What got you into home care, and what gave you that servant's heart that you have?
Well, it's like Rick said, we decided to leave corporate America to be closer to our grandson. And when we started looking at businesses, Rick and I, our entire adult careers have been in a industry where we are serving others. I worked as a 911 dispatcher for years and years. I worked as an EMT on the ambulance for years and years, always taking care of people in their worst moments. Rick was a manager for child and adult protection in the county we lived in, always taking care of people in their worst moments. So when we found home care as an option for a business, Rick's right. It was like, this is what we've been made to do. This is where we take our leap of faith and go into owning our own business. And one of the things we discussed before we even bought a business is, we've been working since we were 15, 16 years old. We've been working for 30 plus years. We've had some bosses that didn't make us feel great about being at work. And one of the big things we said when we decided to own a business was, we will never be the kind of bosses that we've had in some instances. We've had some great bosses too that taught us a lot of lessons, but we've each had a couple that we knew how we wanted to be not like that. So home care was just perfect for us.
Awesome. And sorry, I just added my banner. I forgot to add that, so people that would love our content we'd love you to subscribe to our LinkedIn and YouTube so you can hear more stories about our owners, because I think you guys can attest, and that's my next question, is why a place at home. But overall, our franchisee culture, you guys all share similar stories, same passions. You get along great. We have convention coming up in a month and a half, right in your own backyard here in Omaha. Um, what made you choose a place home? And I have a follow-up question to that.
For me, the biggest thing was the immediate support and fan club that we felt from franchise immediately when we walked in the door. We could tell that you guys were there and genuinely happy to see us, and very genuinely, sincerely interested in getting to know us. What about us would work in this business? What would be some of our weaknesses to improve on? So that's what really sold me, was that initial relationship, that it felt like we were stepping into a scenario where it would just be more than, this is how you do it, now go on your way. It was, we're here with you step by step.
For me, it was the We Are Care philosophy that just absolutely piggybacks Rick and I's morals, the compassionate, accountable, respectful, and ethical in everything you do, even when nobody's looking. That is what it was for me. And knowing that coming into a smaller, growing franchise, we were not just a number on somebody's spreadsheet. We've had a very personal relationship with everybody.
Awesome. And that's a great segue into my next. Is one of the goals of Jared and myself, my business partner and president, Jared, was to make a brand of collective owners so that everyone's bought into everybody's success. And I feel like we've been pretty successful on that. What has been your experience with other owners? And do you have any examples of how you've worked together with owners and used things that you've learned from each other to help you guys grow in this business?
Well, I wish the average person outside looking in, if they were contemplating, can they do this? Should they do this? Is a place at home right for them? I just wish they could just be a fly on the wall for our G chats that we have going between all of us owners. We're in constant contact with each other, and really, it's a think tank that we use that G chat for. So that, I think, has been just very good to have.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. The G chats are huge for those of us that have been around for multiple years. I think we've all made a really good stance that anybody new walking in the doors can get a hold of any of us at any time, and we're there aside from corporate to help them out. So you really have not just the corporate backing, but you have the backing of your other franchisees that have been through everything you're going through in the beginning. And when those of us that have been around for a while run into things, we can bounce them off the others that have been here a while. And I've never gotten pushback from anybody that they don't want to talk to us or aren't willing to collaborate and shoot ideas out there. Everybody's just phenomenal.
Awesome. And I mean, that's now that we're going to get into the culture questions about your office staff, but that is the foundational culture that we're trying to create amongst our franchise owners. Now, on a singular level, on a single unit economics level of culture, one of the most, I would say, and Aubrey, you can attest to this, one of the biggest pieces of a successful home care agency is the culture that you build with not only your caregivers, but your office staff, but definitely your caregivers as well, especially in a time, and I always hate saying this word, of labor shortage, right, Aubrey? You got to be able to retain, and retention usually comes, it doesn't come by way of money. Usually it, in this industry, right? Again, servants, heart care, the good caregivers do this for all the right reasons, but it's the caring factor of the owners and the communication from the owners to their staff members. And so let's get into that. I want to go through your staff members because I know a couple of them. I know all of them, actually. I want to go through Stephanie. Let's go through each one of them. Stephanie is your customer experience coordinator. She's been with you for over a year. You said right before we got on this call that she's been with you for over a year now. What is her position with you guys in that location?
So Stephanie's job, basically, the majority of it is to love on the caregivers. So she is the person that is sending out celebrations for birthdays, anniversaries, going out and buying baby gifts when one of our caregivers has a baby, thank you notes, taking them something if they need it, or if they've picked up an extra shift, running them a little snack and a thank you note or a gift card, just going out and making sure our caregivers know they're supported and that we're there, so they don't feel like they're living on an island so much as some of them do. You know, you're going house to house, you're not in the office. So sometimes you feel like you're on an island. So Stephanie's job is to make them feel a little more connected to us in the office and keep that relationship positive. So they know when they're calling that they're not just talking to somebody who's never heard of them. She's got a very good relationship with all the caregivers.
Awesome. I want to share a little story, if that's okay, about what you got. And then Stephanie, first off, take a step back. You guys literally just hired a person. You made an investment into an office employee that's solely dedicated to spreading your guys' culture, the We Are Care values that we all live by, right?
Yep.
You made an investment in a person to just do that job. That's all they do is that job, and that's phenomenal. Now I want to share an awesome story with people who are watching this and listening in. She just had a baby, correct?
Yep.
These guys built a freaking nursery in their office with what's all in that nursery. You gave her a nursery and an office room. What's in that nursery? That it's a pumping station, it's a drinking fountain, she has a TV, a lounge chair, a fridge. What do you got in that little area?
Oh, she's got a bassinet and a swing for the baby, and then a chair for her to sit and nurse, and just everything she could need so that she could bring the baby to work with her for the first few months after she came back from maternity leave.
That's great. Now I would have said, hey, who needs maternity leave? I'll just build you this. And I would maximize it. The way you guys did it is a little bit better than how I would do it. I need some sensitivity training. I would do it more like, I need this person back here to help me with this, right? Most home care agencies would do that. She got maternity leave, and you also then gave her that sense of belonging and appreciation to say, hey, when you get back, you have a home not only for yourself here, but also to bring your baby so that you can get acclimated back into life, right?
Yeah.
Then we got Bobby Harris, who actually worked for me for a very short time right before you guys bought it. But she's not your office manager, and she's been there, I believe, 3 years. Is that right?
2.
2 years. She has to get caught up on 3.
2.5. Yeah, 2.5.
Yeah, it's over 2, but yeah.
All right.
2.5.
And Bobby, she's your office manager. What's her role?
What is her role? Yeah, Bobby Bobby
Jack
has,
Walker
has the great thing about Bobby, she has done all of the support roles in this industry. So she's done scheduling, recruiting. She's worn so many hats that she's just a very, very well-rounded person. Right now, what we have her doing is mainly day-to-day ops, right? You know, all of those fires with scheduling and keeping track of how the recruiting pipeline is looking for new caregivers. You know, that's just all of that stuff. And then on down the road, the plan is to continue grooming her for billing, payroll, some of the, you know, the more infrastructure related duties behind the scenes.
Yeah. So she's got, she's basically has direct reports from both Rebecca and Stephanie, as well as all of the caregivers. So she is in charge of hiring and terminating and disciplining all the caregivers. And she was promoted from a recruiter where she was initially hired as into the office manager position just this last March, and she has done a phenomenal job for us. Bobby is all in, all heart, and she believes in our company and Rick and I, and that's really important.
All right, absolutely. And then you have Rebecca, this like the staple. She's maybe I'm off, but I believe she's been there for 4 years.
No, she will be 3 years in January.
Get, get closer.
Where's my fact check department?
COVID just killed you.
Seems like that long. It only seems that long.
Seems forever. But Rebecca, is she still the senior services coordinator? Is that her position?
She is.
Yep.
And her job is the most important and probably one of the most stressful jobs. And I gotta throw this out here. Even if she's only been there for 3 years, the retention of a senior services coordinator or scheduler, someone who is like what do I call it? Not mainframe, but oh gosh,
She's the backbone of everything.
Dispatch. She's like dispatch, right? Everyone calls her for every question they have about schedule, care plans, who's going to be here when, moving things around. Someone calls out, someone no calls, no show. She's just boom, 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 boom. Very stressful position, most important position in an in-home care organization. And when you have a good one, that's awesome and alleviates a lot of stress off the owners and everybody else in the office. She's been there for 3 years. That's an impressive retention in that position. What have you been able? I know I just kind of said what she does for you guys, but what has been your approach on how have you been able to keep her engaged that long, and what do you do for her that when she gets in times of stress? How do you guys help her?
Rebecca is amazing. Rebecca takes very personal ownership of everything schedule related. And sometimes Rebecca is her biggest worst enemy, I would say, because she hates to give that up when she is feeling stressed. So sometimes we have to save Rebecca from herself because she wants to save everybody else because she's got that huge servant's heart. But no, Rebecca, it's funny because we have unlimited PTO for our office staff. Our office staff is so committed to us that last year I had to force them all to take a 1-week vacation. At the end of the year, I gave them, okay, between October and December, you all need to take a week off and get out of here and don't think about this place, because if we didn't force them to do that, they wouldn't have done it. Rebecca really struggled to stay on vacation and not call to see how things were going and check the schedule. And because she is so committed to her clients and her caregivers, she really just, I don't know how we've kept her for 3 years, but we're thankful we have, because she's in it 100%.
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, I don't have that problem here at headquarters. Like, I don't have to force anyone to take a week. I actually have to beg people to show up, apparently.
I am ready to take time off at any point in time. I can, however, speak to Rebecca specifically when you forced her to take a week off. There was a shared client that has my personal cell phone number was calling me. And as always, I reach out to Rebecca on GChat to say, hey, so-and-so is giving me a call. Can you reach out? To which she responded, I'll let Bobby know. Rick and Kris made me take a vacation this week, so I'm not at work. Then why are you looking at your GChat? Which is exactly what I said. I said, I'll let Bobby know. Quit checking your GChat.
She was still trolling. Yeah.
Yes.
That is Rebecca.
That's tough.
Destiny.
All right, now I want to move to your last employee, and this guy has a story. Dave Berg, he was a caregiver for 3 years with your organization before you promoted him into a marketing position. He also was a Place at Home's National Caregiver of the Year 2 years ago for a story that he had with a client. He comes into our office randomly. He spends your guys' money and drops off M&Ms and treats to us here at corporate. That's more than I've ever gotten from Kris Perkins. And he's great. What does Dave do for you guys, and why did you feel it necessary to promote a caregiver how hard was it for you to promote a caregiver from the field who does phenomenal things with your clients to a community liaison role? And I asked that question because a lot of owners of home care agencies are scared to promote their best caregivers because of the fear of making the client upset, right? Can you talk about that process?
Rick?
So Dave, you already kind of laid out the groundwork for that story, but Dave has experience in corporate America beyond, home care long before he was with us. He's always been just a very naturally well-spoken person, articulate, carries a good conversation. So I think he had all of the things that it would be difficult to teach for a marketing person. Dave already had that stuff anyway. And then, just hearing him talk about his own journey, he has some very personal experiences with his own parents that, just made him a very natural fit for that role. He also, along with Bobby, Dave was someone who said, I really believe in you guys and what you're trying to do with this company. I'd like to be a bigger voice, to take an active role in that. So when we decided to develop and nurture that position, Dave was a pretty natural person to come in there.
Awesome. He is very genuine. He actually pitched me one time when he first came in. I'm like, Dave, I've known you for 3 years. He used to work for me. And he's like, you know what makes me different than any other marketer out there, Dustin? I'm like, what, Dave? I was a caregiver for 3 years. That's his story, right? Like, he's done the work, and now he wants to spread your name all across the city of Omaha and help you grow your business. So that's great. All right. So I want to recap all that, and then we're going to get into how you built this thing. So again, $3 million location, 60 employees, almost 60 clients, always over 90% customer and employee satisfaction, multiple home care awards, first place in Best of Omaha 2 out of 3 years, 4 employees in your inner office staff managing a $3 million business. You're doing great things in terms of your business. All of those employees are almost all over 1 year old. Like, that's really hard to do because this is a very stressful industry. So the easy question to ask is how? How did Rick and Kris Perkins do that?
Yeah.
I know how they do it.
Got really, really lucky. No, I would say, right? Go ahead, Kris.
The biggest thing is the people we hire. We look for people with servants' hearts. We ask our employees when we're hiring them, what got you into home care? Kind of like you asked us, why? And all of them, their why has to do with having cared for somebody they love or watched somebody they love go through the process of trying to find a community to live in and being unhappy there. And, so everybody we've hired in our office has either worked as a CNA or in a community as a social worker, or cared for somebody they loved. So they understand everything we're doing, and they all have that servant's heart that we're looking for. And I think that is the biggest thing that brings our team together, is every single one of us has a servant's heart. And when we have issues with clients, or we have to discharge a client for whatever reason, it's not about the money, it's not about the revenue, it's what's right to do for that client. If they're no longer safe to be at home, or we just can't staff them appropriately, it is a communal decision. And I think that's one of the things that keeps our staff with us, is they know they have a say in day to day. Rick and I don't just make the decision and do something. If it's going to directly affect our office staff in how they do their job, or the phone calls they're going to take, or anything else, we have a team meeting and we give them a say in how we proceed. And they all appreciate that.
Yeah, I got a perfect example of that. And you guys just had to make a really tough decision over the last couple of months on a contract you have, and I won't mention the company, in which you had to drop that contract that was meant to help. I don't know how many clients you had active. I think 8 or 9 clients through that contract, maybe a little less. And what was it, a year ago, you approached this subject of dropping this contract because of how difficult it was to manage. And I believe Bobby stepped in and said, I really want to continue this. They need help too, the people who are under this contract, in which your team then all agreed to do. But then this year came in and it was still the same issues. You readdressed it, and then Bobby was bought in saying yes, right? Is that kind of went down?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So it's, showing that collaborative effort and not just being one's boss, making it a team, like, I think has helped you immensely. Aubrey, all right, you've been sitting there just shaking your head, giggling every once in a while, throwing us some work here.
Yeah.
You haven't badmouthed me yet, except for the fact that you told me I'm not your favorite boss. But other than that, you work for these two. Can you share some stories, or why do you think, because you work there, why do you know, I guess, why they have one of the best cultures in the home care industry? Not just a place home. I would put them up against any home care agency out there. And there's a lot of them, thousands.
I would say any business, not even just home care, they would be doing the exact same magic that they do currently. They talked about it a lot, but like the one key answer is that they attend to every single one of their employees from that person's individual space. They see every single person that works for them or does anything for them as the individual person they are, with their own needs. And they feed and drive and encourage those individual needs at the basis of levels. Having Stephanie's nursery set up there in the office, that wasn't I don't know. You guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but I know that I'm not. I know you guys. That was not a decision that you made because it would have been terrible for you to be down an employee for a few more weeks. It was a decision you made because you didn't want any mom to have to be away from her brand new baby and have to worry about also being able to pay bills. That is why. Oof, can't even talk about it. You guys are amazing.
Thank you.
You guys are amazing. Yeah, but that's why they attend to the individual person. Like, nobody that works for them is just an employee.
That's true.
Yeah.
All right. We almost got tears.
Yeah,
I know. I want to get off.
Aubrey.
Aubrey.
Sorry. I miss you guys. No, I'm just kidding. Sorry.
Well, Rick, offline, we can talk about how we can make Aubrey. Anything else to add? We got about a minute left. I'll attest to you guys. You guys are one of the top performers. I've already thrown out all the accolades from a percentage. I'm a numbers person, and I let numbers tell the story, and Good thing for me, sometimes I got my counterpart Aubrey here who does the emotional side of things. But from me to you, I will say that we couldn't have. I wouldn't be more proud to have anyone who bought the home location 10 years ago, which is our 10-year anniversary this month. We actually serviced our first client in August, and it's kind of funny. You bought your first location in August, and it's hit 3 years. So, really glad we have you guys as part of our system. If anyone's out there watching this and you ever have questions, even if you're a competitor, although I'd advise Kris and Rick not to give the secret sauce away, they would probably be more than happy to tell you how they did it on a one-on-one basis. And that's, I will, I'll filter out the LinkedIn and I keep my eye on everything. So, Rick and Kris, we appreciate your time. Anything to add before we go?
Nope. That's it.
Nope. Aubrey, anything to add?
No, I can't. I just
can't.
All right, guys. Well, we appreciate the time, and we will talk to you. I'll probably talk to you later.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Thanks, everybody.